Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to learn a lesson from the Bible about Elisha. You know, when we get together to learn about God's Word, we're trying to find out something that is important to us. And we're doing a study called Experiencing God. So we're going to be learning about how Elisha experienced God, and we're going to be thinking about our verse. You may have gotten a little activity to make this craft, and if you did, you can make it later. All you have to do is draw some black lines on there, stick the verse in the middle, and put the construction stickers all around the outside. There's a magnet if you want to hang it on your refrigerator. The verse says, Jesus answered, "My Father is working until now, and I am working." John 5:17. God is always working. He always has a plan, and He's working out His plan to take care of the people that trust in Him. And today our story that is in the Bible is from 2 Kings. And it's about a man named Elisha. Elisha was a prophet, and that means God told him things that he could tell other people. He had a really good relationship with God. Now, Elisha was the prophet at the time, and there were some kings. There was a king in Israel, and there was a king in a country called Aram. The king of Israel and the king of Aram were fighting, and the king of Aram was trying to capture and defeat the king of Israel. What he did was he had sent troops, army soldiers. He sent soldiers out to try to capture the Israelites. But whenever he did, the king of Israel was able to stop him. And this made the king of Aram very, very angry. He thought somebody in his army was telling the king of Israel where he was going to be next. And so he went to his army and he said, "Look, somebody is telling. I need to know who it is." And they said, "It's not us. We're not doing it. It's a man in Israel. His name is Elisha, and he is a prophet. And every time you plan to go somewhere, Elisha tells the king. And then he can stop you." Well, the king of Aram was really angry about this. He thought, I can stop Elisha. So he sent his army to find Elisha. And when he did, he sent the whole army at night, and they surrounded Elisha's house in a city called Dothan. Well, Elisha and his servant were inside the house. And when they woke up in the morning, the servant went out and looked outside, and then he got really worried. And he came back. He said, "Oh, Elisha, we're in a lot of trouble. There's a big army out there. They've surrounded the house. They're going to get us." And Elisha said, you don't need to worry about this, but we're going to pray so that you can see what I can see. And so Elisha prayed, "Dear God, open his eyes so he can see what is really happening." And when the servant went back out and looked out at the window, what he saw surrounding the army of Aram were chariots of fire. It was God's army, and they were there to protect Elisha and the servant. So Elisha watched, and when the army of Aram got near, he prayed, Dear God, please make this army of people all blind so they cannot see. Now, if you know what blindness means, that means you can't see anything. So I want you right now just to cover your eyes like this so that you can't see. And it's all black and dark. So these soldiers couldn't even see where they were going. And Elisha said, come on, to his servant, let's take them where we want them to go. And he took them and he led them all the way to the city of Samaria. Now when they got to the city of Samaria, they took the soldiers in and they closed the gate, and then Elisha prayed another prayer. He said, Lord, please open their eyes so they can see. And when those soldiers opened their eyes, they were really scared because they knew they were inside a city with the king of Israel and all his soldiers. Well, the king of Israel said to Elisha, okay, so now what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to kill him? And Elisha said, no, you didn't capture them. God did this. What I want you to do is feed him a good meal and send him home. So that's what the king of Israel did. He fed him a good meal and he sent him home the next day. After that, the king of Aram and the king of Israel stopped fighting. The king of Aram kept sending his armies to Israel. You know, God took care of them and God had a plan. And God always had a plan. You know, Elisha helped the servant by asking God to open his eyes. You know, we have eyes too that we can see. We may not always see everything that's going on, but we can see some of the things that God is doing. We can see how God is taking care of us. We can see the snowfall. I hope that you got to play in the snow a couple of weeks ago. And we can see the springtime coming, and we can see our families and those we love. So we can see the work that God is doing. Today we're going to sing a little song about our bodies and the things we have that help us see the world around us. You have eyes to see. You have ears to hear the words of God from the Bible and the people in your life believe in God. You can hear what they say. And when you do, you're hearing from God. So we're going to sing a little song, and as we sing it, I want you to point to your parts of the body that we're singing about. Are you ready? Be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. There's a Father up above, and He's looking down in love. So be careful, little eyes, what you see. So this week, I want you to be looking for what God is doing. Then we're going to point to our ears. Are you ready? Be careful, little ears, what you hear. Be careful, little ears, what you hear. There's a Father up above, and He's looking down in love. So be careful, little ears, what you hear. And you can be listening for the messages from God. Be careful, little hands, what you do. Be careful, little hands, what you do. There's a Father up above, and He's looking down in love. So be careful, little hands, what you do. You know, when we obey God, we're also learning how to trust in Him. Be careful, little feet. Can you move your feet? Be careful, little feet, where you go. Be careful, little feet, where you go. There's a Father up above, and He's looking down in love. So be careful, little feet, where you go. Now this last part is how you can tell other people about God. Be careful, little lips, what you say. Be careful, little lips, what you say. There's a Father up above, and He's looking down in love. So be careful, little lips, what you say. So today we have talked about how God is always working, and He is always taking care of those who trust in Him. We learned about Elisha and how he told people about God and what God was saying. You will get to work on your verse. Let's say your verse together, okay? Jesus answered, "My Father is working until now, and I am working." John 5:17. I hope this week, as you are experiencing God with your eyes and your ears and your hands, that you will find God all around you and that you will learn to trust in Him.